Game teaches frame. It's as simple as that. Pressure creates diamonds. That's the old saying. And the more pressure that you put yourself under by engaging in the sweet art of cold approach and dealing with shit test, dealing with pushback by cute girls that you're attracted to, and putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, well, the more frame you gain, because the more pressure you put yourself under, the more you get used to that type of pressure, and the more frame you build through exposure training. And I just want to talk about that super quick right now. But before we kick it off, I'm Dave, and this channel is dedicated to giving you no BS novel dating advice for the modern man. I've got my 3-part video series in the description. First video, what is the sweet art of cold approach? 2, indirect game and why it is the most advanced method. And 3, social anxiety, my morning routine to help you overcome it. And it also comes with a free PDF. Just enter your email address into the landing page. So, frame builds game game blah blah game builds frame, not the other way around. So obviously, when you first get into cold approach, it can be nerve-wracking, and when you approach girls, you're just gonna have that anxiety build up where you just want to eject straight away, especially during day game. Day game is the highest pressure form of game. Getting drunk and approaching girls at 2 a.m. in the morning in a nightclub, well, anyone can do that. And if you want what others don't have, you have to be willing to do what others are not willing to do. That's the saying. So day game is definitely the way that you build your frame and you build your exposure. Now you need to be able to deal with all of the rejection, don't you? And rejection is definitely part of the game. Now obviously early on you're going to want to go direct and look for excuses to reject yourself. That's what you're doing. You're causing rejection as an excuse to eject because, well, you haven't built up your frame. Frame is tough to build up. It is built up over a lot of approaches and a lot of really high pressure situations, and so you have to put yourself in those situations to start to deal with them. And you will notice that some guys have more frame than others. And you might even think that some guys have frame when in fact they haven't actually been tested, because they're just larger than everyone else and they're not actually being tested. But when it comes to the point where they get tested, you find out who they truly are when they're really put under the pump, and how they react to those situations. And this is in line with how to be alpha, how to be masculine man, how to be the type of man that other men can rely on in a crisis, in need, when say someone in your family dies and everyone's crumbling around, and you're the only person that has the ability to keep your shit together and put together the funeral for the family, or you're put in a situation where there's people pressuring you and telling you that you can't do what you know that you can do, and you have every right to stand where you are, and you stand your ground in the face of people telling you, you can't do this or whatever. That's frame. Frame is staring down your enemies and having the ability to take them on face to face. And it is something that can be gained through cold approach. I think that it is a very valuable, I would call the skill of cold approach is hard to gain, because you have to be teaching it. You need to be treating it like it is a skill. But just cold approaching and dealing with shit tests and dealing with the pressure part of it, the dealing with the exposure training aspect of it, that's where you build up your toughness, your frame, your ability to stand your ground in the face of adversity. This is all very, very, very important. And it's the early stages of learning game. Approaching is the most simplistic part of it. For instance, if you were to be playing for you wanted to play for a football team, but you were afraid to even walk onto the pitch, you were scared of walking into the stadium and walking onto the grass. Well, you're not even able to walk onto the field, right? If you're not able to approach and you don't have the frame, you don't have the ability to stand your ground, then you're not even at the level where we could say that you would be able to even start to refine your game. So approaching is literally the most basic of levels. That's like very, very absolute beginner level. Second is being able to build your frame and being able to stand your ground. And then when we get to that level, then we can start to refine what you are actually doing. So there's definitely a few steps here, and a lot of people, they skip a few steps. They just think, okay, let's just be overconfident and we can just approach, and let's not refine what we're saying, what we're doing, what type of skills we're using, our tonality, how we're approaching, what method are we using, what environment are we doing it in. You can't tend to refine things until you're even stepping into the pitch. And I love the idea of building your frame by doing a lot of approaches. And recently when you see some of the pickup drama in the community, you notice who has frame and who doesn't have frame by how they deal with it. And that is a great tester for who's actually out there doing approaches and who's not. Who's reactive and who stands their ground. Who has frame and who does not have frame. And I think the guys that they get stressed and they get angry and they over exaggerate everything, they're the ones with no frame. But I dare say that a lot of the guys out there that are really making it personal and chucking tantrums and things like that, they're the guys that aren't even actually really doing any real approaches, because you get frame and you get your ability to overcome this type of adversity through taking action out there. And if they're not able to deal with any sort of frame battle from another coach, then I would argue that they don't actually have game. And they're not actually taking that as much action as they like to tell you that they are. Because someone who's actually taking a lot of action has a higher amount of frame. And as you guys have noticed probably on my channel, I've poked and prodded a few guys, and I've realized who has frame and who has not got frame. Maybe you can DM me in my Telegram group if you want to find out who I think those people are and who I think those people are not. Yeah, I think you guys might actually be able to figure it out yourself. But yeah, if you are just getting into this and you're not really taking any action, then you're not building up your frame, then you'll never actually get good at this. And that's today's lesson. I'll see you guys in the next video.